A band of American warriors is returning to Vietnam to revisit the scenes of their combat.
The whole idea of General Westmoreland's strategy early in the war was to build a series of rings that would defend against the advance into Saigon itself, because if Saigon fell, then the country would fall.
These soldiers and their units made up those rings in the skies, swamps, jungles, and rice paddies of the area called 3 Corps. They lost not only friends, but also their own blood defending the South Vietnamese capital. The quest heads north through a seemingly endless sprawl of linked towns and villages. One of these, Ben Hoa, was the site of the American air base where Randy Zahn of Eagle River, Alaska, landed in Vietnam for the first time.
We got in about 2 o'clock in the morning, and I was looking down thinking, man, they've got some big fireflies, not realizing at the time I was looking at tracers, and every now and then you'd see the occasional explosion. And we landed, and the fighters are taking off, and the artillery's going off, and there were so many different sounds and so many noises, and the humidity and the heat, just this blast of heat. The smells. It was human feces, it was cordite, it was just everything, and it was like, oh my God.
At 19, Randy flew the war's wickedest weapon, the Bell Cobra attack helicopter in the Army's 1st Cavalry, and his old X-ray or co-pilot was Brian Holcomb of Folsom, California.
I'll never forget the time that we landed. We went to 90th replacement. It was just a real striking moment in our lives. We've been through school for a year, and now here we are. This is reality. And we had 364 to go.
Brian continued flying throughout those 364 days, and 35 years later, he was still flying. In fact, he piloted Black Hawks for the Army in both Persian Gulf Wars. This trip reunites Randy and Brian with their one-time commanding officer, Major Galen Rocher of Huntsville, Alabama. None of them have ever been back to Vietnam before. Galen explains the cavalry's distinctive headgear, the Stetson hat.
The Stetson goes back, the tradition, the 1st to 9th was the Buffalo Soldiers, which is actually black soldiers in the cavalry, and they had the Stetson, and it carried on from there. As soon as the troops got in country, each individual pilot, they tried to get him a Stetson, and it was a matter of tradition and pride, and you screwed with a guy's Stetson, you'd probably get in trouble.
Nobody touches it, nobody messes with it. It's mine, and it means it'll probably go to my grave with me. That's how much it means to me.
On the trip's very first day, they managed to locate what is left of their principal firebase, the old airstrip at Phuc Vinh.
The direction of the runway and the whole orientation, this looks like we're here.
Is that the actual runway?
Yeah.
That is the actual runway?
Yeah.
Okay, well, we need to go up to there then.
The place is a goldmine of memories.
That might be, remember the church gate?
Yeah.
See, remember that?
Yeah, that was the Arvin compound.
Yeah, I figured they wouldn't tear that down because it was local.
Randy clearly recalls the terror his Cobra gunship inspired in the North Vietnamese enemy.
They called the Cobra Whispering Death, and it had this incredibly awesome sound. When it was diving on you, I mean, the sound itself was enough to scare you, but coming, they couldn't hear it. They called it Whispering Death because they just knew they couldn't get away from it. It was too fast, it was too maneuverable, and before they even knew it was there, it was on them. The Cobra was 37 inches wide at the widest point. To shoot a Cobra head-on was like shooting a pencil with a BB gun at 50 yards. The G model that I flew was probably the most maneuverable of the whole series. We could do 190 knots, which is about 237 miles an hour. The beauty of it, you could bank at 110 degrees, so it can almost be inverted. You can dive at 90 degrees, so you can go straight down. And we would often do return to targets. I mean, if we had a target right below us, we would just pull it up and roll it over on its back and let the nose fall, so we'd come straight back down on it. It was, it was close to being a fighter as you can get in a helicopter.
And the Bell Cobra was as deadly as its reptilian namesake. Never before had the Army put so much killing power in the hands of someone not yet 20.
It was an awesome amount of responsibility. We carried as much ordnance on the Cobra as the B-17 did during World War II.
Randy authored a book called Snake Pilot about his Vietnam experience. The book's razor-sharp detail stems from its source, audio cassettes which Randy recorded almost daily during his time in country.
The tapes are cassette tapes that I sent my parents from Vietnam that they saved unbeknownst to me and gave them to me in 1981.
Another member of Randy's unit, pilot Grover Wright of Vacaville, California, actually shot Super 8 home movies of the group in Vietnam. Taken together, the tapes and film make a unique record of daily life in the 1st Cavalry, 1970.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is your roving reporter, Randy Zahn, reporting to you from rotten Vietnam. Wow. Hi, Mom and Dad. I've been here in Vietnam exactly 2 months today. Oh, Mom, this I've got to tell you. You know the macaroni you sent me? I honestly believe we got more macaroni than any other single person in the whole country of Vietnam.
That's the road that went off to the PX. Our squadron talk would have been there. The hangars would have been right here. And our hooch would have been just back, just about south of where we are right now.
That hooch or hut was home to Randy and his fellow 1st Cav pilots for most of 1970. And though it was 10,000 miles from California, they made it feel like home.
It was really important to us to have somewhere comfortable to go back to and relax. So yeah, Kevin Fry, my first roommate, and I customized the room, you might say. We had an empty 55-gallon drum on the roof and ran a hose down, so whenever it rained, it would collect the water, so we had running water. We had a little hot plate, and our room was really like the gathering place. It was really a comfortable place. You walk in there and it was like we're not in Vietnam anymore.
But they were in Vietnam, and their home away from home was anything but safe. Randy recalls a night in the hooch which nearly cost him his own life.
March 12th, 1970, I got back and I went and got something to drink, and I was laying in bed, and you have to understand, Phuc Vinh was a really big base, so when we took incoming, a lot of times you would hear it and say, it's on the other side of the field, too bad for them. When we started getting concerned is when you'd hear the loud crack and you'd hear shrapnel and debris on the roof, because we had tin roofs, so you could hear it, tinkle, tinkle, tinkle. I was like, yeah, that's getting pretty close. And a second one hit, and it was real close. And I don't know to this day what told me to get on the ground, but I hit the ground and they had fired a third one. And it hit, and it actually landed 6 or 7 feet directly behind me. And if I had kept running, it would have just cut me in half. It would have caught me right through the torso. It would have been all over.
Randy not only has pictures of that night, he has an audio tape.
We're still coming.
I got myself out, I got to the side bunker, and I felt something. I felt a very strange sensation in my face. I don't know what. I first got up and I felt some pain in my leg, and I reached down and my hand was all covered in blood. And what I had felt in my head was I had about a 3-foot piece of splinter that had literally stuck in my right temple. So yeah, but the hooch burnt to the ground. I mean, there's nothing left of it.
Hello, I'm Randy's roommate. He's lucky to have me for a roommate. And my name is Kevin Fry, and I am from Newport, Rhode Island.
One very important reason Randy Zahn came back to Vietnam is to honor his one-time best friend and roommate, COBRA pilot Kevin Mark Fry.
It's Tuesday night, the 9th of June, 1970, and I have been here exactly 3 months and 1 week today. I'm counting the minutes now. Believe me, I don't like this place. And we just got some incoming out here, and they tried to kill me again, but they missed again this time. And you don't have to worry about your son, because as fast as I am, he beat me into the bunker. So he just call him Twinkle Toes.
When Randy made his audio tapes to send home, he always encouraged his friends to take part. Listening to the tapes years later with his wife, Kim, brought Vietnam back to Randy full force.
And Kim was sitting there listening to this, and she was just hysterically laughing. I mean, it was funny. And she looked at me, and I just had tears running down my face. And she asked me, she stopped the tape, she said, "What's the matter?" And I said, "Kevin's gonna die in 2 weeks." It was like he was still alive. 25 years later, you hear his voice and it all comes back. And I wanted so much to prevent it from happening, and I knew I couldn't. And it was just a horrendously helpless feeling.
So Randy and his comrades commit themselves to locating the very spot where Kevin's Cobra gunship crashed on July 28, 1970.
Well, we might have.
As far as is known, Kevin's death was not due to enemy fire. His Cobra simply malfunctioned and crashed on a routine flight out of Phuc Vinh.
We were out there flying around, and we got a call that there was a bird that had gone down. The difference this time is one of our Cobras was my roommate, Kevin Fry. I ran in and I said, where's Kevin? And finally just turned around, I said, Randy, Kevin's not coming back. It was an unbelievable feeling. I mean, it was just, I think I was angry, I was sad, I was pissed off. I was incredibly sad. I didn't know what to do. I think I was probably in shock.
Kevin's death impacts Randy not only because they were so close, but also because the morning he died, Kevin took the flight assignment, which was to have been Randy's.
To be me, I think you blame yourself for part of that, for Kevin's death.
Yeah, I do. I mean,
And Randy, you shouldn't.
So together, Randy and the Snake pilots seek out the site where Kevin crashed, in the remote jungles between Phuc Vinh and a hamlet known as Rang Rang. The quest goes beyond the place where the buses can drive. So Randy, Brian, and the group continue on foot. The villagers all turn out for this impromptu parade. Some of the children have never seen a foreign face. The surrounding landscape prevents a clear view of the area, so the vets seek out the highest vantage point in town, the mayor's brand new two-story house.
yes, it is.
Brian is discouraged. The light is failing. The travelers are weary. But Randy has not waited 35 years and traveled 10,000 miles to give up yet.
So somewhere down in this general area.
The village elders know a hill which, if not the exact crash scene, is as close as one can come. Major Galen Rosher, at age 68, is not about to be left behind. He was devoted to his troops in 1970, and he is devoted to them today. Randy's tapes and Grover Wright's home movies combine to bring Kevin Fry back to life.
Hello, this is Randy's roommate reporting in again, and we went flying today, taking all of you people back home.
My roommate is dead. Yes, Kevin was killed in the crash yesterday, just because somebody screwed up.
You want to just go, the three of us go over there just for a second?
Yeah, we can.
Okay, can you give us a minute?
Absolutely.
Okay, thanks.
I said goodbye a long time ago.
Okay, you know what you need to do from here? And this is just me speaking. You need to go to his gravesite. You need to sit down. And you need to sit down and talk to him. And you need to tell him what we tried to do.
Randy finally closes a chapter of his life which has lain unfinished for 35 years.
It's been exciting. It's been emotional. The country's completely different from what I remember it. The people are friendly, they're gracious, they're welcoming, they're warm, they're happy to see us. They've virtually erased anything American, any remnant of the war. I'm really surprised that even the airstrips are still there. It's just been a great week. Just a memorable week. I wasn't nearly as anxious to leave it this time as I was the first time.
The veterans hope that someday other soldiers will be able to experience what they have witnessed here. A beautiful country at peace.